I don't know what I'm doing. Hey, what's up? I'm Allie, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing my August wrap-up. However, I have already talked about every book that I'm going to talk about here today in a vlog of some sort, so if you haven't been watching my vlogs, yeah, here are my thoughts and feelings about some of the things that I read. I think it's also just really nice to have one video where all my thoughts and feelings about the books that I read are at, and as always I will have timestamps listed down below for any specific titles, so if there is a specific book that you are looking for my insight on, I don't know why, it will be link down below. Alright, let's go ahead and just jump right into this. I did a reading vlog in August where I let my Twitch followers choose like a theme of a reading vlog that I was doing, and Aspasia, who is a YouTuber and bookstagrammer and also follows along on my Twitch, had suggested during this time that I do a reading vlog that is specifically around main characters of color. So she had given me a list of books that she had actually either recommended or had seen. So I took that list, played a little TBR game, and we decided from that. Friend might not have, why is this not focusing on me? I wanted to redo this whole thing. I don't understand. Everyone else seems to have a great time their camera focuses. Do I just move? Do I move too much? Is that the problem, camera? Okay. So one of the books that I read for this vlog was You Should See Me in a Crown. This has been on my TBR for forever, so I was happy to have another reason, essentially, to read it and just move it up. So this is about a young black girl who is queer, and she ends up needing money for school. And the thing about her school is that they're all about prom, and they give a scholarship to the prom king and queen. So she decides that she's going to run for prom queen. She's already pretty busy, has a lot of other committees and stuff that she's on, and so she's not really like popular, so she has to enlist the help of one of her friends to help her along the way. Small town, she feels it's pretty close-minded, and so she has been told that she cannot take a girl to prom because it will hurt her chances of becoming prom queen. And she there is saying that like there's like this point system, and she thinks that her bringing a girl to prom or seen dating a girl will ruin her points towards prom. So unfortunately though, there's another girl running for prom queen, and they hit it off at all of these events that they have to attend, and you know, things go from there. I do think that this story is really cute. It's just a really lovely story. However, I just felt quite disconnected. I don't know what it was. I think it's just because like I had never been to a school like this where prom was like the thing. So I had a hard time seeing that in some of the adventures that they went on and whatnot in relation to prom. So to me, it was just kind of like I personally had nothing to really compare it to, and it just seemed like over the top to me because like that isn't something I could see any school anywhere close to me doing. So that just felt really weird to me. There were some parts that I felt frustrated with the romance as well, because they're teens. They're not always like honest about things. There's a lot of miscommunication. They're weirdos, and you know, they're constantly worried about being embarrassed by something. So like I get it, and I get why the things were happening, but I just felt frustrated at times with some of the things that were going on. And overall, it's a really lovely story. It's written really well. There was something that just didn't work to make it a 5-star for me. I gave it a 4 stars. It wasn't anything that the book had really done. It was more so just my enjoyment. There was just something missing, and I hate when that happens, when I can't like pinpoint what exactly it is all the time, because it makes me feel like a bad reviewer to some extent. But sometimes there's just like you just can't put your finger on what it is that you didn't really enjoy, you know? From there, I read a Fa love story, and this one I was really excited about too. For some reason, I thought it was going to be fake dating, and it's not. It's like a Romeo and Juliet retelling. This follows 2 Vietnamese families, and they have restaurants that they run that are competitors like right across the street from each other, and so they have been in this constant like battle against each other for generations. And so we are following the daughter of the one family and then the son of the other family. And basically, they don't really understand this feud type thing. They're like, it's whatever. We've just been told not to interact with each other. They had interacted once and been like scolded for it, so they've just kind of avoided each other. And one day something happens and they come in, you know, they have to work together essentially and find out that they actually really enjoy each other's company, but they can't let their family know. So they are finding ways to spend more and more time together while also avoiding their family, but also figuring out what exactly made their families hate each other. So they have to look into kind of their family history a little bit and uncover some secrets, some juicy secrets. And I really, really loved the family aspect of this story. I ate this story up. That's kind of a pun, kind of not super intentional, but I ate this story up. It was just so stinking cute. I don't normally just like just right off the bat like just romance. I tend to like a little more angst with my romance, but this one was just really cute. You know, they get to learn about their family histories and about how their families like immigrated over and the struggles that they had to go through during the Vietnam War and things like that. So there was a lot of really serious undertones to this as well. A lot of dealing with racism and how that affected their businesses and whatnot, and how people saw them in their communities. And so they're artists, and it deals into that, and their passions and their expectations and just being there for each other. And it's a really cute story. I ended up giving it a 4.5. I'm feeling more and more like high school stories. I'm just not connecting with high school. I think it's just been too long since I have been in high school, and I'm just like not connecting with those stories as much anymore. And then the last one that I read for that vlog was Blackout, and this is a collection of stories that actually take place during one day. And so all the stories are kind of connected in a way. Basically, New York City has a blackout, and we are following different characters while this blackout is happening and the different things that are going on, but they are also mostly love stories on top of that, or like meet cutes in some instances. Some of them are meet cutes, some of them are like longtime friends want to be lovers, some of them are like ex-boyfriend and girlfriend and have to hang out during this event. But I really love these kind of stories where it's like a collection of stories by other authors, but they all connect in some way, and I really like movies that do this, so it was nice to see this happen within a book. And I mean, I love short story collections anyway, so this one was just really good. Most of these were just really cute and fantastic stories. I read this in like one sitting. Stories are really good. There was like one or two that I just didn't really care about, but there was some that were so darn cute. There's one that takes place in a library, which I really, really enjoyed, but these stories were just overall just a good time. I give this a 4.5 as well. I only have two more things I had read that I've already talked about in another haul. There's some books that I'm not telling you about because they're for like future videos and things like that. So, and I don't want to spoil my thoughts and feelings for those just yet. So I only really have two more things to talk about, despite the fact that I did read more than that in August. One of which is The Dare. I had asked for recommendations that were specifically about having like a knife to someone's throat in a romantic... Anyway, this all came from We Hunt the Flame, which kind of has this trope in it, and I was like, I would like to see more of this. I would. So I asked for recommendations and ended up getting a mixture, but there was one that was more of a taboo, like erotica type story that was recommended, and it was a short novella, and I was like, let's test the waters, let's give it a try, you know, let's test it out. The trigger warning list to begin with was something else. Concerned about clowns. I was like, clowns. There was some things on there that intrigued me, and I was like, let's you know, let's see. It's short. The amount of effort I spent putting this on my Kindle, because it's not available in like a Kindle store, and trying to send it to my Kindle. So after spending all that time, I was like, this shit better be fucking spicy, because it took so much effort to get to this point of reading it. Just hours. It took me longer to load it on my Kindle than it did to read it. So I finally read it, and I was not prepared for the level of spiciness. No, I was not, friends. No, I was not. The trigger warning list does not lie. It does not lie. It included all those things into a varying degree. The things that I thought were going to be more prevalent weren't, and the things that I thought weren't going to be as prevalent were very prevalent. I don't even know how to talk about this book. I don't even know if I can talk, like, will I get, like, banned from YouTube from talking about that? Like, that's how another level I felt this book was. Now, I don't read a lot of smut, so, you know, my degrees might be off because this is like my first taste test of this, and it was something. This is about, I didn't even tell you what it's about because I'm just like so flustered by all of this. This is about a girl, she was like the popular one in high school, and she like semi kind of bullied this like goth outcast dude, and it's after high school, they've graduated, but every year there's like this big house party that takes place. So she goes to this house party, it's a costume Halloween party, and she shows up in like this skimpy angel outfit, and this goth dude is there, and we get to see a little bit of the history that they had, but she's like always been drawn to him, hence why she's like made fun of him. So she's always been drawn to him, and they have some banter back and forth, but they decide to play a game of, it's like a game of dares, essentially. It's like beer pong with dares. Never heard of it. Seems interesting. So they decide to do that, and of course the dares that he does are wow. So the last dare is basically that she has to do anything that he says for the rest of the night. And Sir's got some kinks. He's got some kinks, and so that's what's happens. I cannot talk about this book. I cannot talk about it. I can't. I'm just gonna. Here is the synopsis. There will be a link to where you can buy it if you are interested in an ebook version. I do think that you can buy a physical version, but if you're interested in an ebook version, that is all. That is all. I don't even know. I don't even know. I did give it, I don't even know how to rate this, honestly, because it's so something that I don't normally read. I think I gave it a 3. The writing was actually really great. I really enjoyed the writing, because sometimes I feel like those stories, my issue isn't always necessarily the story and the content. It's more that the writing really trips me up as someone who has worked with like editing and finding mistakes with writing and working in a writing center and whatnot. So like that tends to trip me up the most, but the writing was actually really well done. The characters, for the most part, I actually really enjoyed. I like this like hate to, not really love, but like hate to whatever this was. So I really enjoyed that. There was just some of the kinks that I was not about. That just was like, I don't know, this isn't my thing. You know, it's just not my thing. So I did give it a 3 stars. That's it. I cannot talk about this. And then the last book we have is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. This is one of probably my most anticipated release of the year. This is, I was nervous going into this. I already knew, because I don't think this is like Riley Sager's other work, and I knew that going in. This seemed like it was trying to be more of a thriller along the lines of like No Exit. So basically this is a story about a girl who, her friend was murdered, and she just like needs to get away. She needs to go back home and just like lay low for a while, try to figure things out in her head, things like that, and just like reset. So she needs to get back home. Now this is before like cell phones and things like that. So she gets a ride share from another guy on campus, and as she is on this drive with this total stranger, she realizes that he might be the one that murdered her best friend. So she's trying to figure that out. This is like takes place, a lot of the chunk of this, there's a lot of backstory that happens. And then there is the ride portion, and then we get the more suspenseful moments a little after the halfway point. And so the beginning of this, I was kind of like, okay, I guessed the major plot twist within the first, like, I would say even 50 pages of the book. Like, I already knew how this was going to end. So I was hoping that it was going to prove me wrong at some point, And so it did kind of, it had me about the halfway point. I was like, okay, I don't really know how this comes into play, but okay. And then things just dissolved from there. It was interesting to see kind of the mind games that were happening and whatnot. And the main character does have some sort of like mental illness, but it isn't like this big evil thing. It's just something that she has and how that plays a role, which I really appreciated because we have been seeing a lot of like mental illness in psychological thrillers does tend to be the big bad thing. So it was nice to just see that this was just something that this character is just living with and trying to figure out what to do in these situations as she is dealing with these things. So there is that. I did appreciate that, but the suspense overall like wasn't really there. I mean, it was interesting, it was exciting enough that like I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I'll keep reading. But for the most part, like this just it just really fell flat for me. There were some choices made by Riley Sager that just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Like the dots did not connect. He also had to explain the characters' like actions and intentions like multiple times, and even after explaining them, they still just don't connect. Like the story just doesn't make a cohesive story. It's a little all over the place, honestly. It was just like trying to throw in too many curveballs, but like none of them make sense. It's like no one's there to bat. We're just going to keep throwing curveballs basically at that point. So I ended up giving this a 3. I think like it was enjoyable enough to finish. I'm going to forget. Like I'm already forgetting a lot of details about it because like again, there was nothing to keep me really gripped to the story. I already knew it was going to happen. There was nothing there to make me really care at that point. Yeah, I don't know. This was Riley Sager's weakest, absolute weakest writing overall, weakest plot. Like this is just not it. And his books are just continuously get like worse for me, which is sad because I would have considered Riley Sager like one of my favorite authors. But this year just, the past 2 years have just, they keep going bad. I'll probably give him like one more chance, but it's just not working. So I gave that a 3, very mediocre to me. It was whatever. So anyway, those are most of the books that I read in August. September's wrap-up will be interesting because my September TBR is 67 books long. Because I hate myself. So, let me know down below if you've read any of these, how you feel about these. I know Survive the Night is a pretty polarizing book. It seems like I've been seeing a lot of people that are like, well, I love that book. How dare you? It's like, I don't know, it just didn't vibe with me, apparently. So let me know how you have felt about any of these books. Let me know what the best book that you read in August was. I would love to know. I've been looking for a lot more recommendations lately that are like outside of my norm. So, yeah. If you guys have liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to see future videos from me. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!